Oh, hey, hi everybody. Here we are. We're coming out to you live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. This is the Jack Kirby Museum live stream. I am Rand Hoppy, and welcome to everybody. We've got a great show planned tonight. This is the beginning. This is the third and final episode in our Speak Out series, where we've covering the work that Jack Kirby did for DC/National Comics back in the early 70s, where it was like, hey, let's put out some magazines, and not just comics. And then it died pretty quickly. But anyhow, that's we so today we're going to take a look at it's a show called Soul Divorce, and I just called it that because I don't know, it sounded funny, and and I wrote a tagline: "What the heart wants, the soul denies." I don't even know what that means, so but it seemed to make sense for the theme of our show, so I did that, and I'm here, and I don't know where Tom is. I hope everything's okay with
where
Tom.
are you, Tom?
I know, but I'm here with John Morrow, and John has been the proprietor or co-proprietor of TwoMorrows Publications for 26 years now.
Something like that.
Something like that.
But I've been searching for Soul Love way longer than that.
That's right. And they just started with the Kirby Collector, and the empire has expanded. So, and you're just doing great comics, history, books, and publications for all that time. So, thanks for joining us, John, or joining me. I don't want to use the royal we. Thanks for joining me. So
Tom will appear out of the ether.
Tom shows up.
Magically appear, I'm sure.
So I hope like I said, I hope everything's okay. So all right. So we're gonna there's our so I put the lines through the Speak Out series because none of these were published as back in the 70s. They were published only when John published Dingbat Love. So that was, kind of a thing there. What's happening? Oh, last week we did a show on Spirit World. That was fun.
Oh, it was spooky.
Spooky, eerie.
All that Nostradamus stuff, and
yeah, he was a
original art pages shredded by cats. It was terrible.
Right. That's
just
right.
Awful.
That's right. And we started out with a show on In the Days of the Mob and we had Steve Sherman join us, and that was really fun. It's great to have and hang out with Steve. So what's the next slide? So this stuff that we're going to be talking about is all published in this book, Dingbat Love, and that John pulled together, and we helped him. But when that was 2019, 2018?
2020, I think. Let's take a quick look. I think it's a
quick look.
What's the publication date on this bad boy? One momento, please. I'm sorry, November 2019. So yeah, right at the end of 2019.
Right. Yep. So, and one of the fun things that John did as part of the help that we gave him was that he made a special edition for the Kirby Museum, which is the blue one, and that's just we have there he is.
Sorry, I'm late.
He forgot.
I was watching the news.
Okay. Well. But so, John, is there anything you'd like to say about this fantastic book? It's like 178 pages or something.
Oh my gosh! You want to talk about a labor of love? This was one of 3 labors of love I have done, other than like just the Jack Kirby Collector's a labor of love.
Sure.
The Stuff Said book was, and it about killed me. And then this one killed me, but in a lot more fun way, because it wasn't quite just slogging through the research and reading all the interviews. It was more like slogging through original art and photocopies and trying to track down who owns this art. It was just a fascinating and really fun experience trying to find all this stuff. Of course, you guys had good scans of some of it because, through or through your original art collector and dealer connections,
Right.
you guys had scanned a bunch of stuff, and there have been photocopies of a couple of these stories floating around forever, but among fans, but a couple of them had not. And particularly not beautiful reproduction quality like you guys were able to capture from scanning the originals. My one real regret was that the story, the model, I think we were missing, was it 3 pages, 4 pages, that we could not track. Well, let me say this. It wasn't that we couldn't track down those 4 pages. It was that we know where at least 1 or 2 of them are, but could not get a response from the owner.
Right.
So, so we're still working on that, and we're gonna hopefully those will see the light of day sooner or later. So,
and as the Kirby Museum, we are always interested in scanning people's original art.
Sure.
So keep us in mind if out there, if you have some Kirby original art, especially Soul Love or True Divorce cases, we want to scan it.
Yeah,
especially in 2 Sundays, I'll be out in LA scanning. So at the LA Comic Art Show. So if you do have art, bring it to the show, and the scanner will be set up and ready to go.
Yeah.
We'd appreciate it.
And our wonderful pal Richard Kolkman, who has curated and collated and babysat the Jack Kirby checklist all these years, ever since Ray Wyman published his first preliminary version in his book back in 1992, I think it was. Expanded on and all that. He actually emailed me today, and he said, "Just so you know."
Yep, I saw
the name. The name True Divorce Cases was never used originally. That came about later on. There's no documentation of it ever been used. It's called True Life Divorce. He wanted to remind me of that. He's very much a sticker for that stuff. And of course, we use that on the cover of the Dingbat Love book here. True Life Divorce is the actual name, although True Divorce Cases is a good name.
Pretty cool. That's right.
But anyway, if you want to be perfectly correct, it's True Life Divorce.
That's the way we're labeling it into the archive, as True Life Divorce.
Yeah, and it's written that on the original art pages too. So
yes,
but just those pages, the pencil quality that Jack. I mean, this was what he was drawing in late 1970, early 1971.
Yeah,
totally at the peak of his penciling ability. And
amazing.
I mean, these pencils are just so gorgeous.
They
and
are.
There's not a superhero to be found, and that's fine by me because this is just such a breath of fresh air to see that these stories have been preserved in pencil. There's ones in there that Coletta inked, which, I'm not the biggest Vince Coletta fan, except on certain work. I'm a big fan of his work on this stuff. Romance stuff. Coletta was the bomb, man. He made beautiful women even more beautiful. But Jack just drew such sexy women in these stories. It blew my mind the first time I saw these. It's like, this is Jack Kirby. I think of big, hefty matronly women in his comics.
Yep.
And, not as much in this one. He was.
There's one panel in particular that we'll get to.
Oh,
I'm going to point out. No, it's not that one.
It's not that one.
Where it's like, okay, Jack, you're really great. But you're selling the book on your website, right?
Oh, yes. In honor of tonight's auspicious gathering here, we are making, for one night only, 40% off on Jack Kirby's Dingbat Love. Now, that's the red version, the one you see on your screen on the left. That is at www.TwoMorrows.com. You'll just have to search for the word Dingbat if you don't find it quickly in our little search box there. And you'll find it. It's marked off 40% off tonight only. When I get into work in the morning, I'm going to just shut the little sale off. So it's tonight only for you special people who are tuning in. So if you've been holding off buying this thing, get it. But that's the standard red version. The museum is not discounting, but they have a very limited number of this deluxe. It's the very rare blue edition. Which
correct. Yeah, and we are, and I actually did put it on our website also over at kirbymuseum.org, and then gift shop books. It's not discounted though, so if you want a deal, get
the red book.
We'll get the red one from
right.
John. We still participate in that, but It's we're also selling the blue one. There's no difference other than the cover.
Right.
That's,
Well,
so.
and the print run, because there were only, how many blue ones did we do?
50,
it was like
100.
I think it was either 50 or 100. I'd have to look.
I thought it was 50 actually.
Yeah, and,
I think it was 50.
And,
so very,
occasionally
very rare.
we auction off. Mike Royer did a tip-in sheet for us of a signature for 10 issues. So we have 10. I think we've auctioned off 2 of them in our live auction events.
Fun night.
Fun night. It's fun.
And it's tonight. Oh wait, it's not tonight.
This is a fun night, but it's not fun night. Too much. Anyhow, so yeah, if you're interested in purchasing Dingbat Love, have at it. Tonight's the night.
Get it cheap or get it rare.
That's right. So, all right. Well, let's start it out. It's True Life Divorce. It's actually the inside front cover layout with table of contents.
And I've always laughed when I see this because Jack would write so fast.
Yeah.
And what's it say at the bottom? Indentia.
Indentia.
And what is an indentia? I don't think that's even a word. I think he meant
indicia.
indicia, right?
Yeah.
But it's the indentia. So, and his hand worked faster than his brain sometimes, which is
that's right.
to our benefit, right? That he cranked out so much good work. So.
Yep. But it's great. I mean, it describes all the stories that we're going to see, in addition to 2 pieces that he planned to have Mark Evanier and Steve Sherman work on. The babies. A short photo portrait of trouble amongst the young marrieds by Mark and Steve. And then Hollywood Divorce. And a 2-page article by Mark Evanier and Steve Sherman.
And you have to wonder if Steve, probably not Mark, because Mark's more organized, I think, than Steve. He knows where his stuff is. But I have to wonder if Steve has the text from those buried somewhere. And they'll just turn up.
Yeah.
I don't know, Steve, if you're listening, hey man, no, I'm not saying you're a hoarder or anything, but you turn up some cool stuff sometimes.
Just things kind of arrive sometimes.
That's
it's
right.
Like, here's this, and we're like, what?
Yeah. But look at the bottom of that page was it blue ballpoint pen? It looks like it says NPR for National or NPP in National Periodical Publications inventory, and what's that date? 1974.
January 28, 1974.
74. So obviously in 1974, somebody found this in the art files, or they were going through and straightening up at the DC offices and said, oh, yeah, this is unpublished. My guess would be E. Nelson Pridwell might have been doing that, but who knows? And found this, and they marked it for their inventory list. And there it sat.
Oh, it's interesting because there's 3 of those inventory stamps, and one of them is November 74 on the left.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they stamped it whenever they did inventory.
Right, which they would have had to do inventory for tax purposes, I assume. And
right.
So
all right, so that's then you get here we have our classic Jeffrey Miller. Is he like a marriage counselor?
He is, and you know what? I was just looking at that. I bet if you put some of those glasses on Tom, we might have Jeffrey Miller right there.
Oh man!
Oh, thanks.
Well, I
have to shave.
It's so. I'm gonna make it. I'm sorry. I have some business to do. I have to say hi to everyone, and please comment here. All right. So if you have any questions or have any comments, please use the comments down in the in YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and it supposedly will get all consolidated. There's some other word sent to us so we can see it. So,
hi, Lynn.
So Lynn is around. Thank you, Lynn. Good to see you. So there, here's Jeff Miller, and he's talking to Dave, I forget, but
I think it's Dan.
Yeah, it's gonna. Don, there he is.
Don, yeah.
Yeah. So Don is like, well, and this is what happened to me. and then we work. We have our setup, and basically, you know, we have our ingenue cleaning, and there's our couple in the background there, one kind of really fun deep space that Jack would do, and basically the story is that Don has become very successful.
Yeah, he's like a high power, whatever he did, but it was very stressful, and he managed people and stuff and made his fortune, and now kind of wants to back out of everything.
But Myra, his wife, is still in. She's still in the rat race and enjoying her, you know, potency in out in business. But he's like, you know, it's like the first balloon that she has. I'm leaving for the office. You didn't have to get out of bed to see me off. You know, like, oh, have a nice day at work, honey. But look at these pencils. I mean, look at that living room there, like where Ingrid is cleaning.
And these are photocopies?
Yes.
Yeah, these are stats. I'm not sure which, but because it's
beautiful.
pretty decent reproduction of the pencils, but you still get the letter.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, there's a grand piano back there, the vase of flowers on the table.
Just great.
The beautiful, beautiful stuff in there. And
Yeah.
it's not just in one panel. I mean, he carries it throughout the whole story.
He does, yeah. So, you know, it's like the setup is that like Don is home. He treats Ingrid. Is that her name? Ingrid? I forget. But he treats Ingrid like a person. Myra treats her like an
employee.
Like an employee. And, you know, he just wants to relax. He wants to relax. And Myra does not. But then Ingrid, yeah.
Well, and remember, this is 1970, right? When Jack's drawing this. This is the epicenter of the women's lib movement, right?
That's right.
Women going out in the workforce and being executives and
so this is like, you know, like, wow, it's a big twist that she's going off to work and loves it, you know. I think. But then he's so stressed out, and then he's like, well, come and have some coffee with me. Okay.
What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong?
Well, then he gets the phone call that, like, the last phone call that he needed, that, hey, PQ, good to see you. Glad you could make it. That he gets the last I is dotted or T is crossed, and he's got his deal. He's set for life. He can completely and utterly relax. He's so excited that he gives Ingrid a big smooch, and then
I believe he sold his company or something.
Yeah,
like
that kind of thing. Yeah, it's like it happened. You know, it's finally real. You know, and then he gives her a smooch, and then stays a little bit longer than he should have.
Yeah. Well, it says right there he found himself unable to withdraw from this electrical pleasure.
Correct.
I mean, that's some Kirby dialogue right there. Right?
Yeah. And she's all like, "Hey man, you're not a lech. It's cool. I get you." And then
she's not uptight about it.
She's not uptight, you know. And
just a married man.
He calls Myra and at work, and she never calls him back. He's so bummed because he has such good news.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's a little bit of cha between the two of them. I found an atom bomb in the shower this afternoon. You know. Is she listening? But you know, I mean, look at these drawings.
Yeah,
whiz.
The top right panel is just
oh my gosh,
it's just beautiful,
so great. And they kind of make up a little bit,
but then she pushes him away because she has to write notes.
You sleep in the other room. I've got work to do. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but again, beautiful drawings. You know, expressive. you get the personalities of the characters. Thanks for cooperating, dear. All right. So then the next day, let's go for a swim with Ingrid. Okay.
Really, Don? Really? You think that's a good idea?
That's a really great idea.
Great lines, too.
Yeah. This page on the right is probably the prettiest girl I've ever seen Jack draw. And he's drawn a lot of pretty girls. But that's some pretty girl stuff right there. It's really nice. And she's swimming. And then...
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, they go in for it. Uh-oh. There's an embrace and a smooch.
They get caught.
Oh, and then she's there with her boss.
And she's glad that he got to be a witness.
That's right. And
that's how it ended.
And that's pretty much the end of it. It's we're back with Mr. Miller. Who is Jeff Miller? No? Did I get his name right?
Jeffrey Miller, yes.
Yeah, okay, good. So he's back and he's like, well, and Jeff is explaining things. But even Jeff's, look at the Ames chair that Jeff has. It's fantastic. I don't know if anybody ever asked him or if he ever really talked about it. Peter, thank you for asking. We'll look into it. Does it ring a bell?
I can elaborate a little bit on that.
Okay, go ahead. Sure.
Just they were in 1957. I forget the artist's name. A fine artist was working in collage and incorporated a cover from Simon and Kirby's romance comic Young Love or Young Romance into his collage. And I'm assuming that obviously Joe Simon and Jack Kirby got wind of this, living in New York at the time that stuff was on display, and said, these guys are incorporating artwork in collage. And you kind of figure something kind of snapped in Jack's brain, a little switch flipped, and it's like, collage, okay, let me try this, because he was always looking for new creative outlets.
Yeah, he was looking at everything. I mean, all kinds of magazines.
Yeah.
Including
and that's
art. Yeah.
But just experiment with it. Mark and Ross have even both said that Jack found it very relaxing to work on those collages.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I used to think, oh man, what a waste of time that he spent those hours on collage when he could have been drawing more pages. But when you see, like we did last week on this show, showing some of those collages full color, the actual original collages he did, those things are stunning.
Yeah.
So it's just another facet of his creativity, and he apparently got a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, they were like, I think the line somewhere was that they were like crossword puzzles for him. They were like relaxing. And there were a lot of really cool ones. Greek sculptures, clocks, race cars.
Yeah. Girls,
right? And I'd like to, nobody's ever mentioned this. I'm curious as how long it took Jack to do a conventional collage. You know, compared to a page, right? He could do 4 or 5 pages a day if he had to, drawing in pencil.
Right.
But how long did a collage take him? Did it take him a whole day? Take him an hour? I mean, I don't know.
I think the question is, how many magazines did he have as source materials? Did he have like stacks?
Yeah.
Well, that was the one story where like somebody, and I don't remember who it was, probably Mark Evanier, where he said he was going to go visit Jack. And Jack said, bring me some magazines with some good stuff in it, because all they had here are like knitting and crochet magazines. And it's like, you can just imagine like Jack like looking at those magazines and being like, I got nothing, I can't, what am I going to collage out of this stuff,
Yeah. Well, I've got a lot on collages in the issue 80 of the Kirby Collector, the double size Old Gods and New Book, which should be out within the next week. And when we talk about Jack's collage work throughout there, because he used so much of it throughout his Fourth World stuff and Marvel and so.
And Jim from YouTube just talks about how great that the figures are and stuff like that. So yeah,
I know if you look at not that Jack ever just hacked stuff out, but the level of detail he's putting and the thought he's putting into the composition of each of these panels and the camera angles and things, you could tell he was really inspired and motivated working on this. And it's a shame it did. I been really curious to see what the public response would have been to this back in the day.
Right. Yeah. And there's Tom Kraft here in the bottom left panel.
Thanks a lot.
Jeff is looking good. Come on. It's possible to PQ. It's possible.
It is, but Jack did all those great romance books in the 50s with Joe Simon. I mean, he was this wasn't his first romance work in a way.
No.
This is sort of like the culmination of all those years doing romance stories.
That's right.
And everything he kind of honed his abilities with to tell a story, and with just basically talking heads, right?
Yeah.
This is not a boring story.
No.
He just, this is him at his peak using those skills he honed in the 50s. So
yeah. All right, so Jeff is going to lead us on to another story. We have the John Costanza reverse 13.
Right. Letterer John Costanza, yeah.
The letterer who did the numbering there.
Yes.
Oh, so here we have the story of the twin,
which is not lettered, but is partially inked by our good friend Mr. Vincent Coletta, and
very obviously told to stop.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, though, don't you think?
Right?
That he must have been told to stop in the middle of starting this.
Yeah.
Well, I've wondered that, or was he inking the main figures and he was going to have his assistants work on the backgrounds or something? I don't know.
Oh,
but
but he only did like 2 pages or 3 pages, and then it's all pencil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is an original art scan, so it's really cool and it's beautiful.
Very detailed. The room is incredibly detailed.
Yeah, beautiful background. So yeah, the twin shows up. It's a little weird.
And there's trouble.
It's a little weird setup, but okay.
I'm trying to recall. Did Jack's wife Roz have a twin sister?
No, I don't think so.
But her sister Anita, I think, did come visit. Maybe that's where he got this idea. Not that Jack was involved with any shenanigans with Roz's sister, but maybe that's where the
That's right, Lynn.
Good comment, Lynn.
So, all right. So let's head off into the twin. The twin is coming to stay just for 1 or 2 weeks. She's more bubbly than her sister, and husband is not happy. Harry's not happy. And he gets more and more unhappy as it goes along. I don't know. It's beautiful art, and they are having a drama,
Yeah, he just can't get used to because they look so similar.
Yeah. This page is great on the right. She took over the living room.
And she smokes all the time.
Oh, she smokes all the time.
She's on the phone all day long.
And I have to take the bus to work because
they need to take the car so that they can look for apartments.
Right. Oh man. Not going well. But beautiful.
They do exercises together.
Beautiful drawings, to say. All right. And then what? What's happening?
Home one night.
Hey.
It's dark.
Hey. Oh man. Why Harry's just all stressed out. He's off in some other reality, and it's just not happening. So
it's funny because he calls them plump, like we're plump, or the women are plump.
Yeah.
It wasn't very cool of Charlotte to bring her boyfriend back to their house, though.
No.
I know.
Making out on the couch.
I mean that's kind of like the Jack doesn't really address that in a way. Like it happens and we see it, but it's not like in the narration. Jeff Miller doesn't narrate anything about that, which I think he should have.
I love the panel where she throws the lamp at him.
Yeah,
the
I
best.
was going to say, I've been trying to find, because I see a couple cases where somebody throws a lamp just like that, same perspective in other comics. There's certain panels, certain setups that he repeats once in a while in different magazines.
Oh, Jake, no, that's not true.
Go with Jake.
Good to see you, man. Oh, David's here. Hi, David. Yeah, amazing composition.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that right panel, that's a good action page, too. I mean, this
It
is
totally
yeah,
is the
it's
right
awesome.
supposed to
page.
be a boring romance story. And
No.
it's like there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Even her expression, just like it's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. So then it's, you're a monster. What's wrong with you, you maniac? She's a wanton witch. And then it's all everything's just bad. And then his wife shows up. And that's it. Well, they're time eased the situation, so I guess everything kind of worked out. But once she moved out, indeed. All right, here we go. What's next? Okay, so
here we go.
There we go. So we have some original art, and as John mentioned, you mentioned at the beginning, right, that there were challenges, and we weren't able to find it. You weren't able to find it. So it's a cool story, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's the majority of the stories there, and
Yeah.
so you can follow the story fine. But there's how many? Let me look at my notes here. It's been a while since we did the book. I should know this by heart, but
Thought you said 3, but
yeah, I think it's 3. I left blanks in the presentation.
Yes. There you go. Pages 22, 28, and 29.
Yeah.
So, yep.
So the second page, nothing. But then we have this one where her boss, who is the photographer, is driving her home. Right?
And didn't you say, John, that they were going to use this in Soul Love eventually? This story? Is it this story?
This is the story, right? It started as True Life Divorce, and this was one of the stories for True Life Divorce. And you can see it got fully inked and fully lettered before they scrapped the book. But instead they said, but we'll take this story and build a different magazine called Soul Romances or Soul Love, based using this story as the start of it, the model. So
yeah.
So this one it was originally, let's see, what year? This is late 1970, I think Jack's drawing this.
Yeah.
And it would have been published in 71. But yeah, this story right here was originally for True Life Divorce, and then they scrapped that book and decided to do Soul Love, and so this would have been one of the stories in that.
Yeah. So she goes home, and her handsome
Richard,
husband,
I think his name is.
What's that?
I think his name is Richard, but I'm not sure.
Raymond is having a party, getting his ego stroked by all these people. And she's going home. Look at that party.
Mm-hmm. And that page is always reminding me, there's a sort of similar kind of page from In the Days of the Mob, #2, Roaring. The page I'm talking about?
The Ladies of the Mob.
Ladies of the Mob, right. All the ladies were having a party with the gangsters. Yeah.
Yep. It's pretty nice.
And Coletta's inking on this. I mean, look at the women's hair,
It's pretty good.
And the texture in there. It's props to Vinny on this one.
Yeah. No, it really looks good. Oh, and also they're using the no panel border thing because it's a fancy magazine, I guess.
Right.
Is the idea, but right. So basically, she's like, "All right, enough. Get the people out of the apartment." And he does it by taking them with him, and he leaves.
They have a daughter.
They have a daughter who's sick, and he's having a party in the living room.
Yeah, and he had somebody come in and check on her every hour, but it wasn't him.
Nice. So there's that.
all the cigarette smoke and everything.
So these are the another 2 pages that are missing. Or no, 1 page. And then this is the junky, that blurry thing that you posted that was like, we have a blurry thing, but that's all we have.
This is the best we had of this
That's
page.
the
It was
best we have of that
online
page.
and sold at an original art site many years ago, and we were able to find the thumbnail version of it, but not the actual full image. So.
Right. And I guess she kind of like reads him the riot act, and then he's out. Seems like
he gets it. Well, he wants to get this new car.
Oh, right. That's right. He gets
he
his
does.
car.
And she basically says, if you get the car, then I'm pretty much out of here. And he gets the car. Because that's how men are.
Well, there's no stopping a man like Raymond, says Jeff Miller.
Well, but recurring thing throughout all these stories, right? Jack he's emphasizing very strong female characters here. I mean, they're, the guys seem kind of downtrodden in a lot of ways, but the women are the powerful figures in these.
Yeah.
Which, he was obviously making a conscious effort to do that. And he was trying to do it in some of his work, but in some of his mainstream comics work at the time, but you could only do so much, I guess. Yeah. And here he had a lot more free reign to do that, which, hey, women's lib. There you go. That's all the,
who's the audience?
What was going on? Yeah. Oh, don't show the last page of this next story. Don't give it away.
What?
Of the other woman. Don't show the last page. Come on.
Why?
Because it's a great ending. You're going to spoil the surprise. You don't want to do that. Come on. Okay, if you have to.
No. Well, look at that. Look at that page, though. Yeah.
Yeah, so this old kind of beat up guy is married this young woman, and she wants to do all this things that young women want to do, but he's kind of like slowing down his life and wants to relax and get out of the rat race.
Yeah.
Well, wait. Is he married to this young woman? We
That's
don't
right.
really know. That's the thing. She's just with him. We don't really know any details at this point.
At this point, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jack was very cagey on his writing on the story, which I was very impressed with this.
It was good. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So they go through, look at this.
It's great.
Just great. Just so good. It's sexy. I'm sorry. This is great. Look at this thing. Very cool. Very, just dynamic, action filled.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And so they're just, he's basically through the whole thing though. He's like, I'm old. And she's like, but come on, you got to do it for me. And we're not alive unless we're out in the fight. Kind of similar theme to the first story in a way, some of the
little bit
dynamic of
men trying to get out of the rat race and women in the rat race trying to make the man do it.
Yeah. Polka dot scarf. Very nice.
That's very 70s.
It
late 60s, 70s.
Makes her very distinctive. And then who shows up? It's Grandma.
Grandma.
No, it's not.
Grandma shows up. Yeah.
That's not.
Look at the look on his face in the third panel too. He's like, "Oh, you're not supposed to be here.
Come on, you shouldn't have come here." And then
on vacation or something, or I don't remember at the beginning. Maybe not.
Yeah, I kind of got the sense that they were away at a hotel or something.
Yep, and the cat fight is coming. Just wait.
Get ready. This is just going to have to be between you and me. I'm yelling. Arnold belongs to me. He always has.
Look at 1970.
That's right. What? Or did she have a boob job? Or is she young? It's probably just the youth, right?
Yeah.
I think she's saying, "Hey, old lady."
Yeah.
Because he's talking about
how it is.
Yeah, the history of him with her, and
it's still pretty good though. Take a look. Take a good look at 1970. Jessica!
What are you doing?
What places are you up to?
Oh, man. Well, no, I'm going to do it, Tom.
Poor
John,
Arnold.
I'm sorry.
Poor
I gotta
Arnold.
do it.
Arnold's struggling, you can tell.
Yeah. You tempted me to not give it away, but it's just great. And then it's like, well, guess what? He wants a divorce so he can go be with his childhood sweetheart,
Grandma.
Yeah. No, that's not right.
He wants to do a divorce from the young hottie.
Yeah.
So he can go be with the woman that means something to him.
Yeah,
so.
He's more comfortable with. Yeah.
So instead of wanting 1970, he wanted like 1947.
I guess so.
I don't know.
Because 1947 knows him.
Yeah.
That's right. They grew up together. Yeah.
They grew up together.
It's a sweet story.
It is sweet. Yeah. Oh, Jeff, what do you have to say now?
Well,
That's a surprising end.
Jeff introduces who was going to be in issue 2 of True Life Divorce.
Yeah.
This is the panel I mentioned earlier at the show, the early part of the show. I mean, he may have been looking at photographs. I don't know, but those women look great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're all distinctive faces, etc. Those are really nice drawings of different women.
And the third one, the third from the left, is an African American character. So obviously, Jack was going to have some representation in the second issue, the way he did with the model story in the first one. So.
Right. Yep. So yeah, no, I like that.
Too bad he didn't do number 2. The second issue, at least some of it, like he did in the Days of the Mob.
Yeah.
So and then we have this two-pager. Does it seem like it's only a 2-pager? Does it end?
3. It's a 3-pager. Yeah.
Oh, it's 3. Okay, I missed it when I set this up.
Yeah.
So cheater
is a weird page count, but I think Jack just told his story and however many pages he had, and then he went. I'm assuming went backwards and go. Oh, Evanier and Sherman are going to do filler for 5 pages.
Yeah.
Oh, I got 3 pages left to fill.
I don't have a Sergio Aragonés comedy thing.
Comedy thing about divorce probably wouldn't have gone over well. So.
That's right. So I think I might have messed this up, but because I didn't include the 3rd page. But let's just move on for a second, because at some point Jack got himself a photocopier from his son Neil, who was able to make copies of the pencil art. And right at that time was when he was able to make the push to get Mike Royer to come in and do the inking. So it's ironic, right? I think it is irony that, like, at the time that we really want to see those
pages that Coletta inked.
Yeah.
By the time Jack got the copier, Coletta wasn't inking anymore.
Correct.
Except for Jimmy Olsen. We still have Jimmy Olsen.
We do have some Jimmy Olsen. So it was a wonderful thing. But for the book, you did a commission.
I did. I got a hold of Mike Royer and said, Mike, buddy, let's we don't have a huge budget on this, but we could pay you to ink this 3-page story at the end. And Mike was like, okay, let's do this. And thought he did a great job. And his lettering, you can't say enough about Mike's lettering, particularly his display
lettering.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just beautiful design.
Yeah.
Beautiful design. And I did not include the 3rd page. So we're gonna because I'm like, I don't know what happened. But so now that was it. That was True Life Divorce.
That's right. And DC said, "Great, Jack," and then canceled it.
We like that one story with the African American people. So let's make a magazine out of that.
And supposedly they talked to distributors or whatever and showed some distributors the divorce pages, and the distributor said, "No, this won't sell. We don't want this."
Right.
And somebody somewhere along the line saw that one story of the model and said, "Hey, though, how about a magazine geared toward African Americans?" And the Soul Train's going to be big on TV, right? And what all the blaxploitation movies were starting to come along. Yeah. And so this was the next big thing. So let's take that and do a different magazine, right?
Right.
And who better to get to do a magazine about 70s, teenage and 20-year-old African Americans than a 45-year-old Jewish guy from New York,
From New
right?
York.
So, which if you think about it, if you remember all the shows we probably all grew up watching, like What's Happening and Good Times and all that, those were all produced and directed and written by 40-year-old Jewish guys too.
True.
So that was kind of how the TV business was. So I guess it made sense. Jack maybe wasn't the perfect guy, but he sure gave it a good shot. I gotta say.
And let's just remind people of that. You can order Dingbat Love from TwoMorrows tonight for 40% off.
Only tonight.
Only tonight.
That is
40%.
only tonight. That is only tonight. Yes.
Yep. And you can go to KirbyMuseum.org and pay full price for a rare Kirby Museum edition as well. So
very limited.
Get your Dingbat Love.
That's right.
That's what we're talking about. Without any dingbat.
That's right.
It's interesting that it says a DC super comic, and it doesn't say Hampshire. It doesn't say.
It say Speak Out. It doesn't say Speak Out.
Yeah, it doesn't say Speak Out.
Yeah. But it's cool. The model, the teacher, dedicated nurse, and go-go girl are all there. This was Jack's tone work, I think. Right?
I assume so.
Right? Yeah, I mean,
that doesn't look like anybody else's inking to me.
No.
I mean,
yeah. So then, what you were making Dingbat Love, John Morrow.
Yeah, and in case people aren't familiar, why it's called Jack Kirby's Dingbat Love, it's got the divorce and the soul love stories. That's the love part, but the Dingbat is the Dingbats of Danger Street. We've got the two unpublished Dingbats of Danger Street stories also in that.
It's fantastic. So. That's right.
It is. It's great.
Anyway, but yeah, this was. Hey, we're doing this right, and it's like, wow, okay. A lot of the art from Soul Love actually did get inked, as you will see in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was thinking, okay, let's make this hardcover a little extra special. Let's actually recreate or create a vision of what an actual Soul Love magazine would have looked like, and insert it in the book itself. Full color, because that was the idea. Full color, glossy paper, high production values, ads for, the top products of the time, right? They were going to sell ad space in these things. And so I just kind of went crazy and had fun and tried to use my advertising experience to, I'm real proud of my Coupe cigarette ad that I came up with.
That's great.
Looks suspiciously like cool cigarettes, but no, it's not cool. It's Coupe.
It's not Coupe. That's right.
And, it's like Mad Magazine, how they would have the ads. Yeah.
That's right. So, but I had a lot of fun doing that. And it's a 32-page magazine.
Yeah.
Now, the actual magazine would have been longer than that, but we used the stories that were completely inked and had them colored. So it's, it's top notch. And then, there it is right there. Okay. And then we did an extra print run of just that Soul Love section in the book, 200 copies as a standalone, saddle stitched magazine.
And
so Soul Love #1 was sold. There were 200 copies that we printed. That's all we did, 200, and sold them separately from the hardcover book itself. Even though that magazine is in the hardcover book, we sold the separate magazine itself. I honestly thought, oh, there it is. Look at that. Look at that cover.
That's
that cover
awesome.
painting, the cover painting by Alex Ross, based on Jack's original pencil drawing, and using some model stuff that he found. And I mocked up you'll see the whole progression of it in the Dingbat Love book. But I mocked up a couple of cover versions myself before we got Alex involved. But I had to design a cool logo for it that looked sort of like it would fit with the time and times. And it was going to be a $1 magazine, right? Because it had to be. Yeah,
glossy and colorful.
Yeah, not 50 cents like in the days of mob. This was going to be $1 because it was going to be full color.
Right.
And you see it says free, giant Roberta Flack pull-out poster. We didn't do the poster, but that was the whole idea. They talked about, we'll get a Roberta Flack poster in here. So we took every interview that Mark or Steve or Jack had done about this book, every detail we could find about it, and tried to create what this would have been like. So a lot of fun. Had a good time doing it.
And the Roberta Flack was a real thing. I mean, there was some kind of contact between DC.
Yeah, the story's in there. Yeah. How it all kind of played out. Yeah. So had a lot of fun putting this together. So
and it's really cool.
And Alex was like, when I asked Alex Ross to do that painting, And he said, I'm sorry. I would love to do this. I am so busy, but I would really love to do it. And I'm like, no problem. I understand. The next day, bing. You know what? I had some time last night. I did this. He sent it to me. And if you can use it, great. And I'm sorry it's so rough. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You call that rough? This is rough by Alex Ross's standards. It's
Wow.
like just gorgeous. So anyway,
Wow.
kudos, Alex. You're the man.
Thanks. Awesome. Yeah. And just to note that this is not obviously from our Kirby Museum Digital Archive. Some of the other pieces that we've shown are not. They're things I found on the web. Some of them from Heritage Auction. What can I tell you? I wanted to make the best show, so that's what happens. So here's the teacher.
All the blue pencil.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I scanned this like back in, I don't know, 2011. These are the scans that I did, and I had the stuff and you can't really see it here, but the whiteout is almost like layers
really
of whiteout
thick
on top of it. It's like really like frosting on top of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the story is the distributors or Roberta Flack's people or somebody didn't like the renditions of the African American characters. They didn't
their faces. Yeah.
Right. And so so they rejected them. So they went back and whited out and re-inked and stuff. So this story particularly got butchered pretty badly.
It did.
But it still exists, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So.
And it's this is a wacky story. So here's this guy who's like meeting a teacher, and he makes a really aggressive move on her, and she's like, "Get out of here! I'm just here to help you with your book."
There you go, sugar. If you stop playing bongo drums on my ears and wiggling snaky shaky, you might enjoy this. That's okay.
All right. And that is not the guy from the other story that we were talking about before. Yeah, that is pretty amazing. So yeah, it's like, oh, I want to talk to you about your book. Well, no thanks. You know,
Supposedly he's a very good writer.
Right. She saw something in the pages that her students. So we discover that he's not a student of hers. That he's friends with her students, and her students showed her some pages, and I think might have even recognized the name and been like, well, I'll help him. And then they have this meeting, and it doesn't go well.
It's very egotistical and yeah.
And that's it. But unfortunately, she still thinks about him. Come on.
Yeah, and if you look on that left page, the second panel, I don't think that's quite accurately drawn how that book is sitting on his head.
Be on his head. Yeah.
It makes me wonder if someone added that bottom book, because it looks like it would have had to.
It's not right.
Yeah.
Go inside of his head.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a hole in the book.
Yeah.
There you go.
Talk about a flat top.
Yeah.
It's a book hat.
Yeah. Yeah, but there was so much correction work done on this story, so who knows what happened.
So they're in school. Oh, she comes back to school, and then it's all still about like she tells him again, look, I really want to help you, you jerk. And he says, okay, meet me at my place.
And all his buds are trying to like convince her to go with him.
Yeah. But she goes.
And check out his cool threads, though. Apparently, Jack sent Mark and Steve out to pick him up copies of Ebony magazine.
Yeah.
So he could get the fashions right and the fixtures in the apartments and stuff like that.
Yep.
Which I actually had to track down a few particular Ebony magazines to do our rendition of Soul Love as well, to make it authentic. So
right. So she heads there and she gets to the apartment, and it's like, what? Think you want Larry Karashi? And it's very, he manhandles this guy. This other guy manhandles her. And then this woman shows up and is like, "What? Hey, Larry, what's going on in here?" And then the guy that she's been dealing with shows up and says, "All right, Larry, it's me, your lawyer." Like, what the heck?
Yeah, that was confusing. But
Yeah.
That twist ending didn't work quite as well as the one in the divorce story with the other woman.
So
And then,
he's a lawyer, and he got the guy Larry out of prison or whatever.
Yeah, and it actually is the lawyer's writing, not Larry's writing. And Larry is...
His name is not... I don't understand, but...
George Brown.
George Brown, right.
Yeah, so then she goes off with George. But George was like manhandling her on the splash page. I'm just confused. Well, okay, smoochies. Let's... I don't know. It was a weird story.
It was.
Yeah. But a happy ending, so...
Well, now we have the fears of the Go-Go Girl. And... kind of nice. I did include the color version, just so you... So our audience can see what it looks like.
And that color is by our good pal, Tom Zuko.
Correct. Did a great job. I like the way he handled...
the Go-Go Girl part.
I like the way they handled the lighting in the different scenes. The nightclub and blah, blah, blah. It's very, very nice.
Well, and I gave Tom some instruction not to go, super modern heavy with the airbrush effects and stuff like that, because this is 1970.
Right.
So he kept, he kept it pretty restrained, but still came up with some cool color palettes and things on these stories.
Yeah. So she hurt her ankle, and her neighbor helps her.
Yep.
And he's that quiet guy down the hall.
Doesn't talk much.
Yeah. Hopefully her ankle will be better, because she needs her ankle to do her job. Okay. And he didn't. And aren't you special? You didn't make a move on me. Right?
His name is
How come
Harry.
you didn't try? Sorry, Tom, what'd you say?
His name is Harry.
Harry, okay.
Pruitt.
All right. Harry Pruitt, yep. Okay. And that was it for Harry. And he went back to his room, and she thinks. There's all kinds of thinking going on down here. She pulls the blind down, and and there she is on the job at the club.
That's a great splash.
This guy reminds me of like somebody from like the Fifth Dimension or something. Like the big guy. Yeah. I don't remember his name, or Rosie Greer.
It does look kind of like Rosie Greer, yeah.
Yeah. But and this is decided to include another Tom.
That's great.
Some Tom's work, yeah, very nice. So there, she's at her job, and there's that guy that she likes, but look, he's
hitting on another woman.
Yeah, the new girl.
A new woman, yeah.
Yeah, the new girl. And I don't know. Yeah. He keeps trying to get somewhere with her, but she's not happy about it. So she goes home and goes up on the roof.
And who's on the roof?
She goes on the roof to think about things. Because
doesn't everybody?
Yeah.
Hey, it's probably New York, right?
Yeah.
Probably. Or Chicago, or
just a place where there's some fresh air, maybe not as much noise. Well, what do you know? It's old quiet Harry. What's up, Harry? Well, I was protecting you? No. Maybe?
Kind of.
Kind of?
But if you look at Like, look at panel 3. I mean, these are just black and white photocopies slash stats. These aren't scanned from the originals.
Right.
And you can tell that third panel, her face was the same kind of alteration they were doing on that teacher story.
Oh,
yeah.
You can tell that's not quite what Jack drew. So,
right.
So, and I think that fifth panel as well, that profile, something just doesn't feel authentically Kirby about that.
Yeah. Sorry, David is asking again about the collages. Was that the new issue that's coming out, or is there
new
another issue?
Number 80, the Old Gods and New double-size issue / book.
On its way to the stores right now.
Right, it may be in stores tomorrow, or if not next Wednesday for sure. But we've already mailed out all the copies. So.
Right. So there's a whole bunch of collage goodness in that book.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's going on? Hey, he lifts her up, and then they kiss. Nice.
Because that's what happens when you lift up somebody.
Yeah, and you're on the roof, and you're kind of silent, and she's got a bad ankle. So he says, "Hey, you know what? I like the outdoors. I'm from farm country."
He's a farmer.
Yeah, and he's been so quiet because his wife died 5 years ago, and he's still kind of like recovering.
And he was only recently able to look at her picture again.
Right. So and after that, he like asks her to marry him and let's go farming. And she says, "Well, oh man."
Yeah, well, Mark, we do too.
That's
what we're talking about, Mark. You know.
Thank you.
Neil got Jack his copier probably not more than 4 or 5 months after Jack drew this, right? And it's such a shame that pencils aren't there.
All right. It's the dedicated nurse.
Oh, she's dedicated.
She is, but we get a little fat shaming in here before that was a thing.
We do.
A recognized thing, but
it's been a long day, Fatso. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, more of this fat stuff.
There's some Tom stuff. Nice. So he's a musician. She's been being a nurse, and then his son. She's dating his son.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Because Pops suggested it, got them together.
Right. And, well, he just had an operation. He's recovering. Let's go to the coffee shop. Oh, he's in construction, but he should be a lawyer.
He was studying to be a lawyer. He was going to school. Yes.
Right. But he's doing construction in order to help pay the bills for the hospital. And there's kissing. She surrenders to his overwhelming masculinity whenever he's close. Fantastic. But still, it's there's I don't know. It's like she's still kind of encouraging him, but then it's like, hey, you're a lovable, plump little nurse, and I'm a laborer. So what? What's wrong with that? Well, I don't know. It's not great.
Then she looks at herself in the mirror and realizes that she could do something about something.
Yeah, because he's like, we can't change. I'll stay a construction worker, and you stay plump. And everything will be great. No. And she's like, you know what? I'll show him. So she takes off for 2 months, and Dad's getting stronger. Where are the nurses? You know, what's with all these nurses? And there's a nurse in there, and the printed book has a coop cigarette and an out of period health warning.
Lynn, you devil. Oh, you're an observant guy. I actually put that in there on purpose. I researched and knew that they hadn't done the Surgeon General warnings at the point this was being done. But no, there wasn't like a specific legal reason to put it. I just thought it kind of gave it a little more of that 70s kick to include the Surgeon General's warning. So also, and but also, I mean, if someone thought it was a real ad and there was no warning in it, who knows what crazy
That's
person
right.
would come after us. So it
Those
didn't hurt
Coop,
to have it.
I need more Coop cigarettes. They're healthy.
That's right. That's right. They'll help you lose weight. First.
Then the nurse comes. They've gone through a bunch of nurses. The nurse shows up and she starts talking. What? She says, what does she say? Perhaps neither of you were for real. What? Hey, you. Why, it's me, Alita, looking slim.
And trim.
Things can change. Chumpo. What's his name? Slater. Things can change. Let's change things. I got slim. You should become a lawyer. Your dad will get better. Come on.
Yeah, just as easy.
Come on, let's go. All right, so there's that. Oh, and now this
Thank
one's
you, Mark.
It's really good. Yeah.
Read it, Rand. Read the top dialogue.
Oh, Cupid plays it cute when he decides to refute what the computer computes. Do I have to go on?
Yes, one more.
Okay, because when a cool chick like Abby is machine picked for a rumple-dumple like Leroy, all our modern technology in the service of romance seems due for recall. But hold the screwdrivers. The whole story has not been told. Let Abby do it in her own sugar-sweet, heart-grabbing way.
Right on, Jack. Right on. Now, look
back
at the
before
thinking.
people swiped left or swiped right. They did other weird computer dating stuff with Hollerith cards. Look it up. Anyhow.
Right. Well, they talked about the cards in this, right?
Oh, they do talk about the cards? Okay.
Yeah.
But
John,
look at the inking on this. This is not Vince Coletta.
It's very nice.
This is Tony De Zuniga. And you've got to wonder, how in the world did they decide to put him on Ink and Kirby? But it's really a beautiful combination.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's totally cool.
And maybe it was a case of they thought he could do more realistic facial expressions or something like that. Without having to have all the alterations that Coletta was having to do to everything. I don't know.
It doesn't look like there were a lot of alterations, like the lip. I mean, it looks totally Kirby.
We have the photocopies, though. We don't have original
art.
The
pencils?
We don't have pencils on these.
Pencils are original art.
Yeah, so. We just got that black and white ink stats. So.
Yeah. So she gets her friend put her in a computer dating pool for a radio station, and if she got picked, she was going to have to write an article for the friends. I mean, look at the faces; they're great.
Mark Evanier says Daisy Nigga was cheap.
He was cheaper than Vinny.
Well, he did a great job for whatever they paid him.
He did. So yeah, Myra and Abby. Abby gets picked. So goes down to the radio station, and then ends up on TV. Because this guy, Shim Sham Shaver, is a media. He's all over the media. He's got a radio show. He's got a TV show. He's doing everything. So he introduces her, and then introduces the dude,
Leroy Grubb. With a name like that, this date's not going to go well.
Well, Mark, you want to join us? You can tell us. Are you game? Well, then we'll send you a link. Gotta have to go to Facebook though. Would you be up for that? Let's see. Yeah. So who is this guy? Leroy Grubb, right?
Mark's getting roped into this. I love it. I hope I saw a little bit of that link in the bottom corner. I hope the whole world can't read that, or you're going to have all kinds of
that doesn't
people
matter.
photobombing your session here.
Okay, no, the whole world can't see that. Sure, I sent you a link, Mark. So join us if you can. So, yeah, Leroy. Leroy's a big lump. And Shaver is going to pay for everything. She wishes it was a limo, but it's not. It's a 1959 sedan. They go to a cafeteria.
And Leroy seems either constipated or shy.
Yeah, I know.
What a great line.
Or both.
And then what happens? Oh, she noticed a handsome man in the cafeteria. And he's also at the amusement park. Hey, Mark. We cannot hear you.
No sound.
No sound on Mark?
No sound yet.
Oh, there we go.
No sound.
Was that him?
No.
Oh.
I hear a bell.
That would be my phone. Sorry about
that. Okay, that's all right. That's right, Bruce. What now? Oh, boy. Oh, wow. Okay. Jeepers.
So many buttons, so little time.
So then, anything yet? Everything looks good on our end. It's Charlie.
Can you guys hear me yet?
Yeah.
Now we can hear you.
Okay.
Ourselves coming through you, but that's okay. It's Charlie.
Yeah, just. You need to turn off Facebook.
Your own speakers? All right.
How about now?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Bruce has it slightly wrong. DC.
Okay.
DC.
I think we can hear you.
Hold on here. I'm getting a delay.
A delay
at the same
echo.
Time.
Yeah.
A delay echo here. Okay. I can't. This is. I'm on headset completely here, and for some reason, let me try one thing. Wait a minute.
Close Facebook.
Can you close the close Facebook tab, or do you have it open?
How about that? How's that now?
That sounds good.
Okay,
Sounds
good.
better.
All right. Okay. Jack felt really guilty that he wasn't paying Steve and me more money at this point because he kept always thinking that he'd have more work for us than he did.
Right.
So at one point he said to Carmine, "Can't you find something for these guys? I want to my assistants. I want to pay them." So Carmine set out this pile of stats for Steve and me to work on, and they were like about 10 or so romance stories. They sent out 10 by 15 stats that could be treated like original art, and we were supposed to redo the hairstyles and clothing, and we were not up to the skills. Steve and I were not good enough to do that artwork.
Sure.
Jack had, had said, "Oh my guys, these guys can do absolutely anything." No, we couldn't. so I did one, and Steve did one, and Jack looked at him and went, "Well, you can't do this." And he gave the rest of them. He gave the rest of them to Royer, and I think Mike fixed the ones we did. That's what happened with those. Okay. All right. What happened with the romance thing here you're looking at is that Jack, he started out by doing the first story was intended for the True Divorce Cases book.
Right.
And then DC, when they decided they didn't want to do True Divorce Cases, they took up another suggestion Jack had made, said, let's do a romance, soul love or soul romance book. They never finalized the title of the book. So it might have been soul love, it might have been soul romance, it might have been something else. So then Jack penciled and wrote these stories, and the penciling was just gorgeous. Some of the best art that Jack ever did in his life, which is why I am probably more upset about how it came out than you are, because you didn't see what it looked like beforehand. So he sends the stories in, Coletta starts inking, and at some point, before Coletta had done the last of the stories, they decided to show the material to a distributor, some regional distributor who had credibility in the black areas that they were hoping to sell this in. And they sent stats of the stuff over to him, and he said, you can't make the black people look like that. I don't know if this guy was black or white or what he was, but he was some sort of authority on selling books in Harlem, I guess.
Yep.
So he said, you can't, all the men have to look like Sidney Poitier, and all the women have to look like Diane Carroll. So they told Jack this, and he said, send the stories back. I will do I will redraw them. Well, that did not happen at DC. In the immortal words of Nelson Bridwell, the production department fixes the mistakes of the artist, not the other way around. So Vinny and guys in the production department did the redraws on this stuff. I don't know how much of it Coletta did. I don't know how much of it Vinny did. But they did patch of stuff, and they just made the characters kind of grotesque and goofy.
Yeah.
But they gave the last story, which had not yet been given to Coletta. They said, well, what do we do with this? And they gave it to Tony DeZuniga because he was a very low-paid inker. And he was a guy who they were using at the time kind of to fix art jobs that needed a lot of fixing. Tony was the only one of the Filipino artists, I believe, at this stage who was working for DC. He had come over. Eventually, he was the conduit to the other Filipino artists, and he set up this whole thing, which, there are dead people who are still angry about this.
Right.
But he took that story, and he was told to, make everybody look like something else. I believe what they did was they pulled some photos out of some magazine and said, make all the men look like this guy and make all the women look like this woman. And he altered, and he didn't change anywhere near as much as that was changed in the stories. I think the problem with the fixes were more the production department than Vinny, but it's hard to tell. So there you go.
Right.
So that's what it was. But the main attraction of Mr. DeZuniga was that he was getting DC's lowest rate for inking.
Right.
This is why Joe Sinnott or Wally Wood would never have inked the Fourth World books.
Right.
Because Carmine wanted a guy getting the absolute lowest pay, which was Coletta up until Royer came along.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the answer to that.
Well, that's
Hello,
great.
guys.
Well, thanks for sharing.
I literally was sitting. How long you been on now? Okay.
Hour 20.
I was literally sitting in my doctor's office watching you on my iPhone.
Oh.
And I just got home, so I did that.
Cool.
Anyway.
All right.
Anything else you want to know about these that I can help you with?
Wow. Quick think while we've got him.
You may be interested. I recorded a panel for Comic-Con at home a Kirby panel with Walt Simonson and Paul Levitz, and I finally got Paul to say for the record that he looked at the sales figures and knew God's sales were fine, and that we discussed, Carmine had unreasonable expectations. It's a pretty interesting panel, one of the better ones I've done.
Oh, cool.
Great.
And I think, and Paul and I talked an awful lot about DC and about the deal they made by which Jack got money on the Kenner toys, and things like that. And it's a pretty good panel. It'll be online I think July 23rd, 24th, or 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, along the lines of the solo stuff, how did Jack find out that, like, for instance, that divorce wasn't going to happen? You just a quick phone call from Carmine saying, "Hey, divorce thing you drew, we're going to do something else." Carmine
called up and said, "They don't like it upstairs. The Independent doesn't want to do it." There was a lot of good cop, bad cop that went on with them, and Carmine was always good cop. And it was always them, the people above, the people at the board of directors, the people in Independent News, the people in the merchandising division, whoever it was always somebody else. And I was suspicious that was always the case.
How did Jack take it? Was he?
Jack was perpetually frustrated. I was reminded of the line Tom Lehrer used to use about the Christian Scientist with appendicitis. It was, he knew how to fix it, but he couldn't fix it.
Yeah.
And, I don't think he could have succeeded at DC as DC was then, because Carmine was looking for, miracles. He was not looking for a good selling book. He was looking for a book that would put Marvel out of business. And that was not going to happen, particularly with Independent News was so down on DC Comics. There was a time, and I really can't place exactly when it was in the time scene, when there was a distributors convention at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Have I ever told anybody here this story?
Sounds
I don't think. Okay.
Sounds like it might be familiar, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, anyway,
it's all right.
Jack went to this convention, this distributors convention, and Steve and I drove him there. And on the way there, it was like, I'm going to tell those guys how to do comics. I'm going to tell them how to make this stuff. And at the end, it was like, they don't care about this stuff. They don't. They're not interested in it. And this is true. Independent News was making a ton of money off Playboy and Penthouse.
Yeah.
There was no way the comics were ever going to give them anywhere near the same income. And to the extent the comics were making income, it was on merchandising. And there were people there saying, and this was a rumor for years at DC, that they would just close down the comic book division or cut it back to, one editor and a production guy, and then they would put out 8 comics a month with reprints of the characters that were being merchandised. There'd be a Superman comic or two, a Batman, and then one book, Justice League, and Wonder Woman, and they would just put out they were contractually obligated at that point to put out Wonder Woman.
Right.
And they would lose the rights to it. So they would put out the minimum, and they would dump all the other characters that had no merchandising. I remember this being told, and I said, "Hey, Nelson Bridwell may have the most secure job here," because he was the reprint editor.
That's right.
But that was the environment. So they really didn't want to invest in new. Jack is saying you got to invest in new kinds of comics, and they're saying we don't want to invest in anything. So
was the Speak Out series stuff, Mark? That was all Jack's impetus, right? I mean,
yes,
Jack
all Jack.
said, and they just basically went along with it as much as they did just to pacify him. I mean,
no,
or did
Jack,
they really have some confidence that it might do okay?
Jack proposed a dozen different kinds of comics, at least new formats, new ideas, paperback comics, graphic novels, limited series. He proposed all these different ideas because that was Jack. He was not interested in just doing, at the time, 15-cent comic books, because there was just no money in them for anybody, including him. So he kept talking about different formats, and he looked at. He was very influenced. The Speak Out series, part of the impetus for that was he looked at the National Lampoon, which was publishing a certain amount of comics in the Lampoon, and it had decent printing, and it had lots of advertising. The Lampoon had a golden period there when they were getting these huge, humongous ad rates from stereo companies and things that appealed to college students.
Yeah.
And Jack said, let's do a comic for that audience and have another magazine like that. And what he envisioned for the Speak Out series was comics that would look like that.
Right.
Glossy photo features, enough printing to have advertising. One of the reasons Bill Gaines resisted advertising in Mad is he didn't want to upgrade the format. He didn't want to have to deal with ad agencies that would say, okay, we want to print this painting, we want to print this in color, we want to print the Mad would have had to improve the package to attract advertising, which they finally did years later, which is one of the reasons. Have you looked at a Mad magazine lately? By the way, anybody?
No.
I'll tell you something absolutely amazing about it. I don't have my copy right here. You know who the editor of Mad magazine is right now?
No.
Nobody.
Yeah.
There is no editor listed on the last few issues of Mad magazine. It's like what they thought they wanted to do with at DC. Let's get down to the merchandise. Let's just reprint stuff to keep the name alive.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
So Jack, he came up with 8 or 10 or 15 ideas for new formats. He had a magazine that was going to be like what Marvel later did with Dracula and a bunch of other things. And he and they kept turning them down, and they kind of had to do something. They had to pick one thing of his and try it. And so they took the Speak Out series idea, and they dumbed it down. And every couple of weeks, Steve and I would go out there, and Jack would say, okay, they're saying it can't be in color. Oh, they're saying it can't have advertising. Oh, okay, they're saying we can't do photos in it. Things like that. And they just, they basically said, I don't know why they just didn't day one say, listen, it's fine. Just turn it into Creepy Magazine. It will be fine.
Right.
Yeah. Because that's ultimately what they wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all they could do in their vision of it. Yeah.
It's just too bad.
Well, yes, it was very frustrating for Jack. It was one frustration after another. And I felt very sorry for the man at times. But, Jack was like, we'll do something else, gung-ho, never quit.
Yeah.
So that's
awesome.
What I have to say about that.
That's great. Well, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't mean to horn in on your chat here, guys. But
I wanted to hear the Desaniga story.
What?
I wanted to hear about Tony Desaniga.
Tony was a very unusual man.
Yeah.
I kept, it was very strange. I was in the middle of some of those fights because Alfredo Alcala lived within walking distance of me.
Oh.
And Marvel, anytime that Marvel sent him something to ink by FedEx, the FedEx guy would look at the package, see Spider-Man on the mailing label, and bring it to me. Because I was the comic book guy, and I'd find Alfredo's I'd wake up in the morning and find a FedEx box full of John Buscema pencil art on my doorstep, and I'd call Alfredo and say, "Let me bring this over to you," because he didn't drive. And I'd go over to this place, and Alfredo would just keep telling me about different ways he wanted to murder Tony De Zuniga. and then Nestor Redondo called me one time, and he suddenly needed a couple $100 to stay in the country. He needed like $300. So he said, "Can you buy originals from me?" And I said, "Okay, bring me over something wonderful you want to sell for $300. And I have in my living room the most beautiful oil painting. I would have paid him more than that, but he would only take $300 for it. So it was like $1,000 painting he gave me for $300.
Wow. And
then he sat here and told me about everybody wants to kill Tony.
Oh no.
And so we went up through all that stuff. It's a very colorful industry at times.
Yeah.
So, but I am honest to God. In fact, this morning I was working on my Kirby book, and I found a whole bunch of little things to add in and stuff, and it's coming along neatly.
That's great.
How many pages are you up to now?
Oh God, it's got to be 400,000 words.
Wow.
And
Can't wait to read every word.
the problem is I don't know 400,000 words. I had to repeat a few.
Right.
I haven't used the yet, so I'm saving that for the rest of the But anyway, no, it's coming along, and there'll be people who will be so furious that it doesn't make Stan out to be very wonderful. But
that's okay.
Well,
the truth is more important.
Well, one of the problems you have with dealing with people who are into comics is they try to put everybody into heroes and villains categories. And Stan did some very nice, human, wonderful things here and there. But I think he did a lot of things that caused me to lose all my respect for him. So, you got to balance this. The people who wanted to say Stan Lee was God and Stan Lee was the devil, neither one of them are going to be satisfied. Right. And the people who love him are going to be angry if there's any negatives about him in it. So, anyway, I'm going to go, guys.
All right.
Sorry for hoarding it on you.
That's all right.
And,
no.
Thank you for doing it.
We're honored.
Well, you have a low threshold for honor, Tom. If my showing up qualifies for that, I got an email this morning from a convention that kept saying icon and legend. We want the icon and the legend there, and I keep thinking, no, icons. There are almost no icons left in comics alive. To me, an icon was Jack or Steve Ditko or
Carl Barks.
Gil Kane, Carl Barks, all those guys. Anybody who's in part of my generation, I don't think it applies to. Yeah. So.
All right.
All right. Goodbye.
Well,
I'll see you guys soon.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, we're back. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Just to hear a little bit of that. It's really, really great. But let's finish up the story. What do you say? We're almost at the end.
Yes.
So Leroy was standing in for Charlie all alone, the handsome guy. And what do you know? There's smooching in the tunnel of love.
And the handsome guy was following them around because he didn't want to, he switched him out and he didn't want to do the show, basically.
Right.
And then he finds out that it's this beautiful woman. It's perfect.
Just great.
Just
the computer was right.
He thought he'd get the female version of Leroy Grubb, right?
Right. Yeah.
And Leroy's happy just taking a nap. So
he had some food and some ice cream. So
slurps like it's soda.
That's right. Oh, and now we have Old Fires, which I guess was probably the first soul love story I ever read.
Yeah, same here. That was in the Kirby Masterworks portfolio book. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was printed from the original art like this. I mean, if I recall, and
which means that Jack got the original art back at some point because that was published in 77 or 78, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, but he may not have gotten it all back, but he definitely got this 2-page story back.
Yeah. So it's they have a little fight, but they'll make it. These kids, they hold hands at the end, so that's nice.
And again, probably not a great place to plug in a Sergio Aragonés humor story.
No.
So.
Right. Boy, would I much rather see the pencil art on this thing.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't exist. So.
Yeah, well.
Unless there's a photocopy hidden in somebody.
Yeah, never say never,
Yeah, I know.
That's one thing we've all learned, right?
That's true.
Out of the blue, something will show up. So.
All right, so that's Masterworks. That's what that was published in. That's a big tabloid-sized thing from, what did you say, 77, 78, something like that?
I think I bought it in 78.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. So.
Yeah. So now what? Oh, so let's sell some books again.
The clock is ticking.
The clock is ticking.
You put a little timer there.
Thank you, guys. So please, if you're interested in reading some soul love and true life divorce, which is what we've been going through tonight,
Let's be honest. The only reason to get this book is for the Dingbats of Danger Street. So I mean, come on, that's the pinnacle of Jack's career.
In case you didn't realize, John,
I keep forgetting.
It's one of John Morrow's favorite books.
I'm sorry, Dingbats 2 is awesome. It's just it's one of my favorite Kirby things ever. So
you can
Is that the
order
one with
Dingbat
Stigme?
Love from TwoMorrows. It's 40% off tonight only. John wakes up tomorrow and he turns it off.
that's right.
And it's back to regular
So
prices.
that gives our West Coast friends that 3-hour time difference. It won't
That's
affect them.
right.
They'll get it by midnight tonight. So.
Anybody watching this later on?
You'll just have
you
pay
missed
full
out.
price or go to the museum site and pay full price for their limited, extremely limited blue edition.
That's right. The only difference is the cover, but ours is and limited. So there's that. So that's what's happening. And that was soul divorce. What the heart wants, the soul denies. I don't know.
that line is great. You killed it. That sounds like a Kirby cover blurb right there.
Steve Sherman said the same thing. He's like, that sounds like what Jack would have come up with. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. So please check out our YouTube channel. I mean, it's probably still floating around on Facebook. We're not really going to pay attention to that or Twitch or whatever, but YouTube's where it's at. So that those are our archives. Spirit World we looked at last week. That was scary, creepy, eerie. What was it? The cat scratch Nostradamus artwork.
Oh yeah,
Stuff
the
like
cat shredded original art pages in Jack's flat files.
And Mrs. Sherman,
And
Stephen
Mrs.
Garrett's
Sherman.
mom. Come on.
She foresaw Jack Kennedy's assassination.
That's right.
It's amazing.
It's
She was driving.
and it just came to her. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's see. What did we do? We did. And we started out with Steve, and we did In the Days of the Mob. That was really fun. And those are our 3 Speak Out series live streams. This is just the magnum opus here. This hour and 36 we've been going. So we're wrapping it up. I'm getting a little
wrap it up,
punchy.
but okay. To wrap it up, the Speak Out series,
That's
Spirit
it.
World, Days of the Mob, Divorce, Soul Love.
Right.
Which was the best of the 4, and which, in your opinion, was the best single story out of all those 4?
Oh man.
Well, mine was In the Days of the Mob number 2.
Yeah, but
I
what
don't know.
story?
The Ride.
It's a good one.
That's got that great pinball splash page
Yeah,
that Rand's
yeah,
friend had all
yeah,
those years that when I saw it, because I love pinball, and man, when I saw that, just like, great
Yeah.
stories, great
Yeah.
stories.
How about you?
Yeah,
Rand?
yeah, I'd have to go with that same issue and same story. I think Tom nailed it.
Who's the guy who falls out the window at the end?
That's the
That's pretty crazy too.
yeah. What's the name of the story? It's
I want to say
think
Lefty, but it's not.
That's Murder Inc. That's the Murder Inc. story, right? At the end.
Yeah, where they have him in the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Kinda
picking on everybody because he's a
they're all
jerk.
great. I mean,
Yeah.
It's so tight and violent, and Mike's inks and letters are just beautiful. So it's hard to not love that stuff, right? I mean, looking at
Jack let loose with all that. You said it violent. And there's some violent stuff. I mean,
the second issue is really bad. I mean, compared to the first.
Yeah.
Well, the ride especially. That scene where they get the guy with the knife.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And he won't die.
That's right. He just keeps stabbing him and stabbing.
That's awesome. Yeah. And also the angles, like seeing the cars like above. You could just picture like a movie watching that story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, Steve Meyer, it's good to see you over there on YouTube.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Hope to see you soon.
Stefano in Facebook.
From Italy, I believe.
Yes.
Stefano.
And please go look at our YouTube channel. We've got so many things. We did a whole series on the Fourth World. I don't know how many episodes. A lot.
Yeah.
We did a special episode on the bicentennial battles. We had a nice visit with Mike Royer. We did a panel last year for Comic-Con, Jack Kirby 101. And
we're doing another one this year.
And we did another one this year. It's coming up. It's Jack Kirby's favorite stories, The Pact and Mother Delilah. with Adam McGovern and Alana Levin. So that should be really fun. We recorded it and it was cool. We did a crazy weekend for his birthday. 26 hours, no bathroom breaks. We're going to keep saying it. I'm sorry. Repetition makes you go nuts. But no, it was really fun. We had so many wonderful people join us. Please check those videos out. Make comments. Subscribe to our channels. Do that thing. Push the button, the follow, and click the thing with the bell so that you get the alerts.
Notifications.
Yeah, so that you know we're going live. We did a month of the Demon. We did a few episodes for OMAC.
Yeah, that was fun.
We did a thing called First Issue What? We looked at Atlas, Manhunter, Cobra, best cartoon character ever, according to Bruce Simon. And Dingbats. We did the Dingbats in the episode. And the not incredible, I'm being sarcastic, Justice Incorporated and Richard Dragon Kung Fu Fighter. Comics that Jack draws but doesn't write. They're just not right. It's just weird.
And they look okay.
What?
They look all right.
They look okay.
Not his most inspired work by any means.
No.
So please, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. You can join us, become a member, and by doing so, you will help us fulfill our mission by getting the word out about Jack Kirby, his work, and his life. We have a gift shop that you can buy things. We have lots of cool stuff. We have a limited edition of Dingbat Love. Cool Captain Victory poster. T-shirts, pins, posters, prints. Incredible. Please check out our website, jackkirbymuseum.org. And that's it.
And so ends the series.
And so ends. And so what do I say now? In the beginning. Is that what I do? I start it. I say in the beginning at the end. Right? It's just like, epilogue. No, prologue. Prologue. That's it.
There came a day when the Speak Out series died.
That's right. All right, everybody. John, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
2
thank
weeks
you.
in a row.
Guys.
Always really fun.
This was a fun one. It was really fun.
It was really fun. Thanks, Mark, for dropping in and dropping out and hitting us with some knowledge. And all right, everybody. Thank you. Be safe.